Two major winter storms will bring heavy snow and ice. The first one tonight into tomorrow across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. The second one from the Gulf Coast into the Southeast Monday through Wednesday. We're also looking at a very cold air mass across the middle of the country with wind chills below zero. We're also going to be looking at the long-range forecast into early in the middle portion of February at the end of this video. Welcome back everyone to Weather on the Go. My name is Hunter, and if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow along with all of my detailed weather breakdowns here on this channel. Like the video by giving it a thumbs up to get this information out to more and more people. Also, share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Let's look here at the weather alerts across the mid-Atlantic here this evening. We are seeing winter storm warnings extending from eastern Kentucky, western Virginia, all the way down into eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina. Those extend up into Maryland, eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, and then into the northeast view, we're seeing this across southern New York State, much of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all the way up here into southern Vermont, New Hampshire, and coastal Maine up here into the northeast as well, where heavy snow can be expected. So as we go through the evening hours, heavy snow flying in places like Philadelphia, up there into New York City, into the Hartford area, and also Boston. So we're going to be seeing some heavier snows along the I-95 corridor as we go through the rest of this evening. Now, overnight tonight, after midnight, the snowfall will begin to wrap up in places like Philadelphia, Trenton, and New York City, but it's still going to be snowing pretty heavily there in Hartford, Boston, up here into coastal Maine, maybe even as far north as Caribou, Maine, as we go into overnight tonight. Then as we start the day tomorrow on Monday, still seeing some lingering snow showers across coastal Maine there, into Cape Cod and eastern Massachusetts, wrapping up with snow in Boston tomorrow morning, and then finally seeing that move out as we go into tomorrow afternoon across the Northeast. We're going to be seeing some pretty significant snowfall accumulations on the order of 5 to 10 inches here from eastern Pennsylvania all the way up to coastal Maine here along the I-95 corridor, and this is going to be enough snow to plow and shovel out there as we go into your Martin Luther King Day. And this is also going to lead to some travel disruptions, minor, moderate travel disruptions from coastal Maine all the way back into the big city hubs of Boston, Hartford, into New York City, also Trenton, even Philadelphia, seeing that through this evening, and also into your Monday morning commute on Martin Luther King Day. Now, another thing we have to watch here with the cold air moving over the somewhat warmer lake of the Great Lakes is we have lake effect snow as we go into tomorrow on Martin Luther King Day, Lake Superior, downwind of Lake Michigan and western lower Michigan. We also have that over here into Lake Huron as well as Lake Erie and a lot of the rest of the Great Lakes through the Monday time frame. That'll continue into Monday night and then into Tuesday as well. And that will add up in a big way across areas that traditionally see lake effect snow. So we're talking Erie, Pennsylvania, Orchard Park, also Buffalo, New York, Watertown, New York, probably seeing the heaviest lake effect snow band. That's where we could be seeing up to 3 feet of snow between today and going into tomorrow and Tuesday across this region. Now, we're going to be seeing some pretty cold air as we go across the heartland of the country in southern Canada into tomorrow morning on Martin Luther King Day. And these temperature anomalies are easily 30 to 40 degrees below the norm of where we should be for this time of year. So waking up tomorrow morning, a lot of us have school and work off because of Martin Luther King Day. But if you do venture outdoors, make sure to bundle up out there with layers, as well as frostbite in these type of temperatures can occur in less than 15 or 20 minutes. Look at this, minus 26 in North Dakota. This is just your air temperature. Southern Canadian provinces, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, all the way over to western Quebec could be seeing low temperatures around minus 30 degrees below zero. When you factor in even just a slight breeze out there, our wind chills tomorrow morning are going to be between 40 and 55 degrees below zero up here from North Dakota into northern Minnesota, but especially those southern Canadian provinces where the core of that cold air is. And by the way, the sub-freezing temperatures, the feel-like temperatures that is, go all the way down into northern Florida, off the Gulf Coast, and down into northern Mexico. Sub-zero feel-like temperatures going all the way south to Kansas, Missouri, Tennessee, even into parts of western North Carolina tomorrow morning. And then here's the core of the cold air. Tomorrow afternoon, our temperature anomalies across the north will be 50 degrees below the norm for this time of year. And look at where we go for highs. This is it, minus 15 to minus 20 below zero for air temperatures across the Dakotas into Minnesota and Wisconsin, even colder than that, 20s below zero up here across a large chunk of southern and southeastern Canada from Saskatchewan eastward all the way to Quebec. And our air temperatures, what it will feel like out there to the skin, and if it is exposed, will be 30 to 50 degrees again below zero in a lot of these areas across the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and southern and also southeastern Canada. Going in towards the following rest of the few days of this week, we're going to be seeing a trough hang out in the eastern U.S., and that's going to bring colder air all the way down to the Gulf Coast and all the way up the eastern seaboard here, and that will set the foundation for a major winter storm as we go into the middle of this week. And we're honing in on Tuesday, January 21st, Wednesday, January 22nd. We're going to have a low pressure system develop down here in the Lone Star State of Texas. That's going to move southward over the open water of the Gulf, and that will be supplied with some very cold Arctic air and will change that rain over to snow, even along the immediate Gulf Coast for places like Houston, New Orleans, over towards Mobile. And then as we go into Wednesday, that low pressure system will move over Florida, the peninsula there, and just off the coast of the Carolinas, bringing the snow to heavy snow to places like Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Savannah, Georgia, and maybe even Jacksonville. So looking at the weather alerts currently across the southern tier of the United States, these are winter storm warnings that have been converted over from watches earlier, and this does include places like San Antonio, Austin over here towards Houston, Lake Charles, all the way over into Baton Rouge, and just around the New Orleans region, and also into the Gulfport, Mississippi area. This is where we expect a mixture of either snow and ice or just heavy snow. And then looking across the east, we have winter storm watches into the Florida Panhandle. We also have winter weather advisories, including the Jacksonville area and over here towards Tallahassee and Gainesville, Florida. So something to keep an eye on as we go forward into the middle of the week. And this is pretty reminiscent of our Gulf Coast Southeast winter storm in kind of the same time frame just 11 years ago, back on January 28th, 29th of 2014. We had winter storm warnings stretched from Houston all the way through New Orleans, just into the Florida Panhandle here, just south of Atlanta, all the way up into the Carolinas, into places like Columbia and Raleigh as well. And this is a very similar track to that. So as we go into tomorrow, here in the south central view, we're looking at some rain showers trying to develop there off the coast of Texas, colder air coming in from the north. Those will meet up as we go into tomorrow night, and that will bring a mixture of sleet and freezing rain to south central Texas, with all rain down here toward Brownsville, Corpus Christi, and Victoria. And then as we go into Tuesday, dynamic cooling as the low pressure system strengthens, and we're going to see wintry precipitation all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley. That will be sleet, freezing rain, and snow. Heavy snow breaking out in Houston on Tuesday over to Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans. And then looking at the southeast view Tuesday night, heavy snow breaking out from New Orleans, Gulfport, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, all the way over here toward Panama City. Ice, a notable ice storm is possible across portions of southern Georgia, North Florida, so the Savannah, Georgia area, into places like Jacksonville, Tallahassee, and over here into the Big Bend area of Florida. And then heavier snows up into the Carolinas, such as Charleston, Columbia, Myrtle Beach, and even up into North Carolina, Wilmington, and Cape Hatteras up there. Then as we go into Wednesday, we're going to see that move off the coast, the main body of the system, but we're still going to be dealing with some rain showers across the sunshine state of Florida. Yeah, on Wednesday, not going to really be that sunshiny down there. A lot of rainfall. So looking here at the snowfall, as we go between Monday, tomorrow, and Tuesday, January 21st, this is a conservative look. These numbers could be a lot higher than they do show, but we could see anywhere from 2 to as much as 5+ inches across the Houston Metroplex, extending back towards Victoria and also Corpus Christi there. And then back here into Louisiana, we're looking at Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, Alexandria, and New Orleans seeing that, and then further east towards portions of Gulfport, Mississippi. Now with ice, we could see up to 1/10, maybe 2/10 of an inch of ice. This is also a conservative look. These numbers could be a little bit higher for ice across south central Texas, but we're looking at a general area of San Antonio, over toward Austin there, and Corpus Christi that could see the biggest ice concerns during that Monday, Tuesday time frame. Shifting it further east, we're looking between Tuesday, January 21st and Wednesday, the 22nd, you can see these are conservative numbers. A lot of these numbers are very low, and these will be notched up by a few inches as we do get closer to this event. But you can see here, Montgomery in Alabama, up here down to the Mobile area, Panama City, all the way into the Macon and Augusta, Georgia area, Savannah, Georgia, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Columbia, Wilmington, Cape Hatteras. All you folks down here will have a chance for at least a few inches of snow, possibly several inches of snow between that Tuesday and Wednesday time frame. Now, this is again a conservative look for ice. The biggest ice storm threat looks to be right on the Georgia-Florida state line there, so southern Georgia and northern Florida, and this could cover areas such as Savannah, Georgia here, Jacksonville, getting into Tallahassee, and over here towards the Big Bend of Florida and Panama City, with some of that bigger ice out there as we go through Wednesday. Looking at travel, how will it be impacted? We're going to see major travel impacts across the Houston metro, especially Monday night, and then going into the Tuesday morning commute. So if you're traveling in and around Houston, going to be difficult there as we go into the Tuesday morning commute down there, and that's going to stretch over toward Lake Charles with those moderate travel disruptions. Now, as we go from Tuesday the 21st into Wednesday, the Wednesday morning commute, going to be difficult down here in Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, including North Florida there with that ice storm, and then into parts of south central Georgia and up into the eastern Carolinas, at least minor, but probably moderate, if not major travel implications as we go into the middle of the week. Behind this storm system, we're going to be talking about colder air. The cold air will back off a little bit. It will moderate, but it's still going to be cold for this time of year going through the 31st of January, and you can see active weather will continue. A lot of green on the map that shows more winter storm potential as we go through the rest of the month, especially with that cold air around. Now let's transition over to the new month of February. We're gonna look at the 2 weeks to start the month of February, going up through the 15th. So this is week 1, February 1st through the 8th. We're seeing the cold air backing really into areas that we'll normally see at this time of year, up toward the Arctic and northwestern Canada. A ridge of high pressure starting to build across the south and southeast. Those temperatures will begin to warm up. We're gonna actually see a lot of fluctuation in our temperatures during the first week here of February. Our storm track is going to be from the Pacific Northwest into the northern Rockies and across portions of the Midwest and into the Great Lakes. North of that track, heavy snow will be possible. South of that track, rain and some severe weather will be possible. And you can see there's a general consensus that the Pacific Northwest will get very active here, and that will translate downstream into the northern United States. Now, this is also going to bring some snow, possibly to areas that haven't seen a lot of snow so far this season. The Twin Cities there, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Green Bay, Milwaukee, Des Moines, all the way back to Lincoln, Nebraska, parts of Rapid City, South Dakota, those areas during the first week of February. Now, going into the second week here, we're looking at February 8th through the 15th. Take this with a grain of salt. This could change a little bit. We got a ridge across the east and southeast, warmer temperatures. We got cold air in western Canada, and we have cold enough air to tap into with these storm systems in northwest United States. So an active storm track will set up. You got the cold air to the west, warmer air to the south, very strong baroclinic zone. We got the battleground of temperatures here, and there is the storm track. Maybe a little bit further south, hopefully getting some moisture in California. I have more confidence in northern California seeing rain and snow than southern California, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then that will move down toward the Four Corners and then up here through places like the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley. And on the northwest side of that track, we're looking at some heavy snow. Underneath of that, an ice storm threat. And then on the warmer side of it, on the southeast and deep south, we're looking at a rain and severe weather setup. And again, very noisy here with the ensemble guidance across the west and then into the downstream areas of the Midwest, the Central Plains, the Ohio Valley, and the Great Lakes, even the Northeast as we go into the second week of February. And this could bring bigger winter storms to places like Detroit, Milwaukee, Chicago, Des Moines, Kansas City, those types of areas as we go towards the middle of February. So looking at that and just confirming it with you, the Climate Prediction Center is showing that the first 15 days of the month, colder to the north, warmer to the south, battleground across the middle of the country. We got very active weather across the Pacific Northwest. Lots of snow in the higher elevations, the Cascades, northern Sierras, the northern Rockies, and then across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and the Midwest. We could be seeing an active winter storm pattern where we could see a lot of snow dumping across areas that haven't seen it yet. Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Des Moines, St. Louis, a lot of those areas seeing more snow opportunities in the first half of February, and then drying out down here into New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and along the Gulf Coast and extending over there toward Florida. A lot of information here in the video to take away from it. Heavy snow across the Northeast as we go through the rest of the next 24 hours through Martin Luther King Day, and we're going to be shoveling out from that. Heavy snowstorm, ice storm threat along the Gulf Coast, Southeast as we go into the middle of next week. It's going to be a big system. Power outages will be possible. Make sure that you got your generators ready here, and also don't forget your pets outdoors because the cold air is coming in, and in the middle of the country, sub-zero wind chills for several days as well. Make sure to bundle up. Frostbite can occur in less than 20 minutes or even less than 15 minutes. And also early to mid-February. Don't lose hope across the north and the Midwest. Snow is on the way. We're going to see an active storm track the first half of February. So places like Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, and also into places like Des Moines, Kansas City, and Lincoln, Nebraska could get in on the fun with snow as we go into the first week or two of February. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow along with all my daily updates. I'll have another video coming out tomorrow. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll answer all your comments, questions, and concerns. And also share this video with friends, family, and on social media. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.